Hi, dog lovers. Hi, everyone. How are you doing today? I would like to talk to you about vegetables for dogs. There's a lot of questions that we get. So first, the question is, do we need vegetables or not? There are two kind of camps. One of them is saying no vegetables, dogs would not be eating vegetables at all in nature. And the other camp would say vegetables are okay, depending on what kind we are feeding. And I've been able to see many dogs in the course of my almost 30 years in practice. And I've been able to observe their nutritional balance. I've been able to observe what their organs are doing, whether it's the liver or kidneys and other organs. And I must say that over time, I confirmed that it is better to feed vegetables than not. Assuming that we kind of, at least for now, agree that vegetables are needed or better to feed. What is the percentage of vegetables? I find that some dogs really love vegetables and some dogs don't like vegetables. But vegetables are important from the point of nutritional value. Also, they provide kind of buffering, alkalizing effect. They cleanse the liver, help the body thrive. In nature, the animals would eat the gut, at least based on what I've learned. Some people, again, argue whether it's true or not. And let's assume for now that plant-based material is good. If you are, or if you decided to feed your dog vegetables, then I suggest giving somewhere between 10 to 25%. And because dogs usually do better with pre-digested veggies, at least in nature, we pre-digested in the stomach and the digestive content of the prey, I usually recommend taking either Vitamix or some sort of food processor and chopping it up. Or you can also just take a knife and cut the veggies on the board. Try not to blend it too much because it oxidizes, right? It loses nutrients. But if you break it down a little bit, then dogs can digest it much better. The only other thing I wanted to say is that it is okay to feed vegetables with meat and mix it. And if you are feeding raw food diet or cooked diet, I still recommend the veggies to go in the food raw. So blending or shredding it up or processing and using them raw. With the exception of some vegetables such as yams or sweet potatoes, which can be serving as additional kind of veggie, or even pumpkin or squashes can be cooked. But other vegetables, I recommend feeding them raw. Many people ask if it's okay to feed fruit and veggies and meat, and I usually recommend feeding the fruit separately from veggies and meat. Fruit has very different digestive time, and it stays in the stomach for a very short time. But if you feed it with protein, then it can start fermenting and create gas. So it's better not to feed fruit at least an hour before feeding protein or 4 hours after feeding protein. So again, remember that the fruit should not be mixed in the food ideally, because they have a tendency to ferment if they are given with the protein meal. So ideally, your dog should get at least 50% leafy greens. Leafy greens have obviously great nutritional value. They have a lot of chlorophyll, vitamins, they balance, cleanse. There are the veggies to go after. Also, if you think of animals that canines would eat in nature, they all eat grass, right? So we try to feed vegetables that are similar to grass or leafy greens. So I'm just going to show you some charts here. You know, this is a chart that I just downloaded from a stock photography. And I'm just going to go from this side to that side because I don't really know whether it's right or left for you. So you can see chives, and I would recommend not giving chives nor onions or leeks. And the reason for that is that they come from the onion family, and they do have a tendency to affect our dogs' red blood cells, and they can cause anemia and they damage the red blood cells. Some people ask whether garlic is in the same category, and my experience is that if you feed small amount of garlic, like half a clove or something for a medium-sized dog a day, it doesn't really cause the changes that we may see with onions of other kind. But again, don't overdo it. Don't overfeed any of the onion family. including garlic. But as I said, garlic doesn't seem to cause any serious problems if it's fed in small amount. So then there's tomatillos or tomatoes. Tomatoes are from the nightshade family, and we don't recommend feeding them. They are considered toxic for dogs. Peppers as well, eggplant, and potatoes. Not sweet potatoes, not yams, but potatoes. So we don't recommend feeding those, the nightshade family. When it comes to herbs, I can see mint here, right here, mint. I recommend mint and other herbs like basil. It's great. Now I'm just going to see ground cherry. It's considered vegetables, I guess. I didn't know. Sorrel, any leafy leans like bok choy, lettuces right here are great. And what else do we have here? I'm just kind of going through the little chart. Broccoli. Now, broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower are from the cruciferae family. And many veterinarians and nutritionists say that it is goitrogenic. What it means in translation is that it affects the thyroid gland in a negative way and can be causing hypothyroidism. Some people say, or basically there is evidence that these goitrogenic vegetables like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli absorb the iodine from diet and can cause, problems. Now, obviously, broccoli and cabbages have very good properties on the other hand. They are known to be antioxidant. Some people say that they are very efficient or effective in preventing cancer if we eat significant amount of those. So, I always kind of try to take everything with a grain of salt. And I have never seen dogs that eat broccoli become hypothyroid, but theoretically it's possible. So what do we do? If you give a little bit of broccoli here and there, or if you like to feed kale your dog, again, I think that it's beneficial and I don't see that there is a big problem. But you have to be very careful giving too much of one thing, right? If you remember one thing from this whole Facebook Live, remember variety of vegetables. Variety of vegetables, but also about variety of meat and the other ingredients that you're feeding. So, what else do I have? I have carrots here. Dogs don't have a really good ability to digest carrots. If you feed your dog whole carrot, quite often it comes out on the other side the same way or very poorly digested. So I'm not necessarily against feeding a little bit of carrots, so like a few carrots a week here and there. But do not make it your dog's mainstay diet of vegetables, because carrots are high in sugar. They can disrupt the bacterial flora, and they're hard to digest. So quite often dogs that get a lot of carrots can have digestive problems, and all we need to do is to just stop feeding carrots and everything is fine. Radishes, again, some dogs may eat them. I do not know of any contraindication, but they're quite strong, right? So I would say that they're kind of neutral. When it comes to herbs like rosemary and thyme and, as I said, dill or mint or basil, they're all really good. And how about spinach? Spinach, Swiss chard, and beetroot. They contain high amount of oxalic acid, and oxalic acid will prevent absorption of some other minerals and nutrients, okay? So once again, you don't need to necessarily avoid spinach or Swiss chard and red beet tops completely, but you should be careful and you should reduce the amounts and maybe give the lettuces and greens. Like some people get mixed green vegetables and mixed green leaves and just shred it up, chop it up, put it in the food. And it doesn't need to be balanced every day, right? I'm saying 50% of the vegetables should be leafy, and the remaining 50% should be the rest of the vegetables. And I'm just going to try to tell you what they are. Green peas, for example, or zucchini, or green beans. I'm trying to kind of scan my head, my brain for other vegetables. Let me just see my chart. Asparagus is very good. Anything that you can find and is not in nightshade family, is not high in oxalic acid, is not high in carrots, and cruciferae, which is the cabbage family. Once again, this may seem to be complicated, but it is relatively simple. Take the leafy vegetables, then add some other vegetables from your fridge that you have. Try to go certified organic if you can. If you're using the pre-made salad mixes and lettuces, remember one thing: they're washed about 3 or 4 times before they're put in the box, and then they sit in the box for several days or maybe even a week. So their nutritional value actually drops quite dramatically. Remember that, because it's better to buy full lettuce head than buying the leaves. Or if you have a garden, try to grow some greens. You can even go for grass. If you have really nice fresh spring grass, process it, mix it up, blend it up, and put it in your dog's food. I am very, very picky about what vegetables I eat. Definitely try to go organic and try to go local as much as I can. I have Valerie here, one of my team members, who is going to help us with reading some of your questions there. Everyone else, if you have any questions, you can write them in comments. And I'm looking forward to hearing them, seeing them.
Irene at the start asked, what veggies should I avoid for dogs with cancer?
I would say, cancer likes to grow, right? And it's my suggestion is to not to feed any vegetables that are hard in starches and sugar. Yams, sweet potatoes, squashes, pumpkins. I would really focus on the green leaves, and I would also add wheatgrass or wheatgrass juice, because it's alkalizing, and cancer does like acidity, doesn't like alkaline environment. So keep it in mind. And obviously there's kale and some other cruciferous vegetables, which I just talked about, and I said you should not be feeding too much of it, but if you have a dog with cancer, it may be actually a good idea to increase the level a little bit if your dog's thyroid gland levels are good. The other vegetable or the other root plant is turmeric, right? I talk a lot about turmeric on my website. And keep in mind that even if you are feeding vegetables in general, that they are coming from depleted soils and not all the minerals and nutrients are present. So that is what I've learned in the course of my practice, that even if diet is perfect, we are living in 21st century. We have damaged our soils, and we do need to supplement with minerals and vitamins to kind of get that result. And I wouldn't believe 10 years ago, if you told me that supplementation is necessary, I would question that. Now I see the difference in the animals that are supplemented and those who are not. And there's such clear evidence, even from the reports and reviews that we get on our website. It is clear that the animals that are on the basic essentials are doing better. So, it's a complicated world, but if you follow a few different principles, I think that you will extend your dog's life and will avoid many health problems. Valerie, what is the next question?
We've got Susan asking, any good veggies for early kidney disease and ones to avoid?
When it comes to specific conditions, obviously, like with kidneys, like avoid calcium oxalate and anything that can cause crystals. They say that asparagus, for example, is good for toning kidneys. To be honest, there is a whole article actually on kidney disease treatment, and because this is a webinar or Facebook Live on vegetables, I'd like to refer you to that article. And if you have any questions, please email us and let me know. But definitely asparagus is one of the toning vegetables for kidneys.
Heather asks, it seems that when I try to feed veggies to my dogs, it causes them to burp and spit up, even if steamed. What could cause this?
Oh, I would have to know a little more. Maybe I'm going to ask you to email us and let us know exactly what you're feeding, what your dog's medical conditions are, if they have any, what diet you're feeding in general, and how much vegetables you're giving. And then we'll be able to help you a little more.
Okay, we've got questions about specific veggies. So yes. I'll name maybe 2 at a time, and you can talk about each one, and we can kind of make it through the list a little bit.
I'll do my best.
Okay. So peppers, red, yellow, and orange, and then cucumbers.
Yeah, so peppers are from the nightshade family, so it's a no. When it comes to cucumbers, I do feed cucumbers occasionally. I would put them in the same category as as the spinach and others, meaning the ones that I do not like to feed as often, or carrots. I don't like to feed carrots as often. I do use them, but I don't necessarily make it a mainstay of the vegetable portion of the diet. So yes, cucumbers are okay, but in small amounts, I would say.
What about celery and dandelion?
Dandelion is amazing for liver toning properties, and also it's rich in chlorophyll. It's alkalizing, it's liver cleansing. Celery, do not know of any contraindications. I didn't feed it to Sky mainly because of the flavor. It's quite strong, but if your dog likes it, I don't think there is a problem.
Followed by, how do you feel about mushrooms? And should asparagus be cooked or not?
Mushrooms, very good question. Mushrooms are known to be cleansing. They absorb heavy metals and impurities, radioactive materials. They're good for the immune system, the digestive tract. They are definitely good. So edible mushrooms can be given to our dogs. There's some medicinal mushrooms like reishi mushrooms that are added to our dog's food and some supplements to make sure that they they're stronger, their immune system is stronger. So absolutely. And also in situations like infections or cancer situations, they can be used. I usually feed asparagus raw. If you want to cook it, definitely possible. Any of the veggies can be cooked, but it's better to feed them raw for the full nutritional and enzymatic effect.
What about wheatgrass and beets?
Wheatgrass and beets. Wheatgrass is amazing. Again, full of chlorophyll, very cleansing, very balancing, very alkalizing, full of antioxidants. So wheatgrass is superb. It's one of the best greens that we can put in our dog's diet. Beets. I do add beets, red beets, or generally beets. Sometimes I cook them, sometimes I don't. They like to be processed, right? If your dog likes to chew on beets, I don't think there is a problem. But most dogs don't like the flavor and it's a little too strong, so you can put them in the food processor and blend them with the other veggies.
And Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts, they are in the cruciferous family. Again, there's a little bit of a controversy or conflict, right? We know that they're good anti-cancer veggies, and I personally wouldn't avoid them completely, but they are told to be or taught to be goitrogenic or causing hypothyroidism. As I said before, I haven't seen it, but one needs to be a little cautious. So once in a while is fine, but I wouldn't make it a mainstay of diet. Unless we prove the science otherwise, right? If we decide to do research or study on goitrogenic properties of cabbage family and we realize that it is actually not true, then we can change our opinion.
People are asking about fermented veggies. Is it good or not?
Yeah, fermented veggies are generally good. You can use sauerkraut again. That has cabbage in it. So again, in small amounts would be fine and beneficial. You can definitely ferment veggies. Absolutely, no problem at all. I'm thinking like Korean kimchi, with all the spices, would be probably very good if you add the vegetables that are on our list as the veggies to feed.
And quite a few people are also asking, so just in general, what are your main staple vegetables that you like the most?
Okay, I'm probably just going to take the list and I'm just going to tell you because otherwise I'm going to forget something. And green leaves in general, any green leaves with the exception of cruciferae like cabbages are the mainstay. So, lettuces, some herbs, wheatgrass, arugula, cilantro is really good for getting rid of mercury from the body, from the system. A little bit of spinach is okay. A little bit of beet tops or something like that, but not too much. Bok choy is good. Some of the Chinese greens are good. Then I would go to squashes, yams, sweet potatoes. Usually I cook those because dogs like it. It's also very good for diarrhea. If your dog has diarrhea, you can just give them a little bit of chicken broth and squash after about 12 to 24 hours of fasting. And we have that blog on our website. So if you have any questions or concerns about how to deal with diarrhea, we have that. So squashes and yams and sweet potatoes. What else? Green peas, green beans, some of the beets we talked about, a little bit of carrots, but not too much. I like herbs a lot because dogs would graze on grass and herbs in nature. I said that cucumbers are okay in small amounts. And generally just try to focus on leafy greens because that's the most natural part of our dog's diet if we watch them eating grass outside. The other thing I wanted to say, grass eating, is it normal or not? Is it a problem? I personally think that it is our dogs treating themselves with alkalizing green chlorophyll-rich substance full of antioxidant, right? If they eat a lot of meat and animal protein, they naturally are drawn to that balancing element, and that's grass. So it's absolutely fine for dogs to eat grass. And I would not say that it is a sign of a disease or indigestion or nausea or some sort of sickness or stomach problems either. So I'm glad when I see dogs eating grass, especially good grass. We currently have about 5 team members who are answering questions from the community. Most of you do not know that, but definitely more than 90% of the community never buy any products or any supplements from us. And we still answer the questions and have a big customer service team to make sure that we can educate and help you. So I'm really happy that we have this system in place and that those of you who trust our products and buy our products make it possible for every dog lover to learn, and that we can, we made it work to be able to make it all flow and go well without really treating disease and making living from creating health. So I'm really grateful for everyone who is here and for our customers and for our community to be here. And I'm always surprised that anyone wants to listen to us, but obviously there's a lot of questions that are coming through, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you. Take care and have a wonderful evening, day, whatever it is in your time zone. Bye.